Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into Google's latest big play in the AI race, Gemini 3 Flash, a model that's basically trying to have its cake and eat it too. So let's just dive right in. For a long time, if you were building anything with AI, you were stuck with this really frustrating choice. You know the drill, right? You could get a model that was super smart, giving you these deep, thoughtful answers. Or you could get one that was lightning fast, perfect for real-time interactions. Or, hey, you could find one that was really cheap to run. But getting all three of those at once, yeah, that was pretty much a pipe dream. And this trade-off, this thing we're calling the AI trilemma, has been a massive roadblock for real-time apps. I mean, think about it. For something like a chatbot, studies show that if you have to wait more than a single second for a reply, user satisfaction just tanks by over 40%. That's exactly the kind of bottleneck this new model, Flash, was built to smash through. And this gets to the heart of what Google DeepMind's CEO, Demis Hassabis, is talking about here. It's not about the flashy party tricks. The real challenge, the real prize, was making AI that was not just powerful, but also instant and cheap enough for everyone everywhere to use seamlessly. So how exactly did Google try to crack this code? Well, their answer is a brand new model built on a really specific idea. They call it Gemini 3 Flash, and it was designed from the get-go to solve this. It uses this really slick technique called knowledge distillation. The best way to think about it is like this. You have a star student, that's the big Gemini 3 Pro model, and that star student basically teaches all its most important lessons and shortcuts to a smaller, quicker student, that's Flash. So what you end up with is a model that keeps a ton of its big brother's smarts, but it's packed into a super fast, super efficient frame. Okay, so that's the theory, but did it actually work? Does it solve the trilemma? Let's dig into the numbers. First up, let's talk money. At just 50 cents per million input tokens, and you can just think of tokens as bits of words, it just completely changes the game on price. We're talking a 75% cost cut compared to the older Pro models. That suddenly makes all sorts of high-volume apps, things that were way too expensive before, totally possible. All right, so it's cheap, but is it smart? Oh yeah. This is not some watered-down version. On a test called the GPQA Diamond Benchmark, which is basically PhD-level scientific reasoning, Flash scores over 90%. Now, get this. When human PhD experts take this same test, they only average around 65%. So yeah, it's smart. And this is where things get really wild. On a test for complex coding, it scores a staggering 78%. And in a twist that people are calling a distillation inversion, the smaller student model actually did better than its bigger teacher. This makes Flash one of the most powerful tools for automated coding ever made. So, when you lay its price out next to its big competitors, Google's whole strategy just snaps into focus. I mean, look at this. It's giving you performance that's right up there with the top-tier models from OpenAI and Anthropic, but for a tiny fraction of the price. You can see how disruptive this is. And this chart right here, this is the Flash promise delivered. It's not just cheaper and smarter, it's also 3 times faster than the last Gen Pro model. It's a genuine attempt to get it all: fast, smart, and cheap. Okay, so the numbers are impressive, but what does this actually mean? For the developers and businesses out there in the real world, how does this change things? Well, it basically unlocks a whole new category of apps that were just stuck on the drawing board before. We're talking AI agents that can write and fix code on the fly. Or think about video games with characters that are way smarter, reacting instantly to what you do. It's also being put to work for high-speed document scanning in fields like law and finance, and even for real-time content moderation online. And we're already seeing folks who are using it get excited. The CEO of Latitude, a company that makes AI for games, so that Flash lets them deliver these really high-quality AI experiences that used to be only possible with super expensive models, but now they can do it at a scale they could never afford before. This is definitely shaking things up. Reports are even coming out that OpenAI has an internal code red going on because of how fast Google is moving. By making top-tier AI so cheap, Google is really leveraging its size and infrastructure to put the squeeze on its rivals, who just can't compete on price alone. But, benchmarks and press releases are one thing. To really get the full picture, we have to look at what the developers who are actually using it have to say. So, on one hand, Google's own blog is highlighting its amazing coding abilities, which, on paper, sounds like an absolute game changer for building software. But on the other hand, developers are telling a slightly different story. As one user on Reddit memorably put it, Gemini treats strict guardrails like fleeting suggestions. It seems like for really complex, multi-step jobs, the model sometimes just decides to go rogue and do its own thing. And the most common complaints you hear are things like multi-turn instruction decay, which is just a fancy way of saying it forgets what you talked about earlier in a long chat. People also say it has a tendency to hallucinate or just make stuff up, when it really should just say, I don't know. It's a great reminder that killer benchmark scores don't always mean flawless performance in the real world. So, when you step back and look at all of this, what's the big takeaway? What does Gemini 3 Flash really represent for the world of AI? I think it signals that the AI industry is really starting to grow up. The race isn't just about building the single biggest, most powerful model to sit at the top of a leaderboard anymore. The focus is shifting to something more like an engineering discipline, a focus on utility. It's about building models that are practical, affordable, and actually useful to millions of people every single day. And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative question. By making good enough AI so fast it's almost instant, and so cheap it's almost free, Google is making a huge bet. They're betting that for most of us, for most of the things we do every day, the best AI isn't the one with the highest IQ. It's the one that's so quick, so seamless, you barely even notice it's there.